Well, good morning. Well, this morning I'm moving all my plants outside, so let me explain. Well, good morning. Well, this morning I'm moving all my plants outside, so let me explain. Well, okay. It's still about 2 weeks early to plant your tender crops outside here in Zone 6. I usually go about the 1st of May. But sometimes, like this time, you run into a situation where, hey, you know what? I am just out of room. They're getting too big and too tall to be under the lights in my kitchen. So they're coming outside. I'm not seeing any freezing temperatures for the next 2 weeks, or at least for the next 10 days ahead, I should say. So they're pretty safe outside. Now, what I've done to slowly harden them off is this. I've got them sitting under this shade tree, okay? That way they'll get filtered partial sun. The only direct sun they're going to get is early in the morning, and that's not as strong. That shouldn't hurt them. Now, they may look puny for a few days or a couple days, but it's not enough to really cause them any big problem. So that's what I did. Now, I want to show you a couple of things. This is the main tomato I'm growing this year. And this is a potato leaf tomato. If you can see, the leaves are big and broad, and they're more straight, more flared out, more of a big flat leaf than a regular tomato. And this is my single seed challenge tomato plant. And he's an Arkansas Traveler, and it's the regular variety. So I hope you can kind of see the difference in the leaves. It's not terribly important, but that you know that difference. But some people, I've seen Facebook posts where people said, well, they've said, hey, I planted my tomato seeds, and they come up, and here's the seedlings, and they got their first true leaves, and it doesn't look like a tomato. Well, it is, though, because it happens to be a potato leaf variety. My single seed challenge is Arkansas Traveler, so it's not, okay? And I'm trying to come up with the name that I've got of the regular tomatoes I planted in my main tomato this year, and I'm just not coming up with it. Yes, mentally, I can't draw. It's hard to talk and think at the same time, folks. Sometimes in making videos, you don't think about this, but when you're trying to think what you're talking about and make sense, and you're talking at the same time, and then maybe you're doing something with your hands to show something, or you're doing a how-to. You've got your hands in it, trying to do it. It gets more complicated than what you think. Okay, I'm going to show you another thing here. Now, these are my marigolds that I planted, and some of them are getting on the border of being a little big, but the point I'm making here, one of the reasons for bringing them outside is under the lamps inside, it's not a real strong light, but it's not grow bulbs, it's just plain fluorescent lamps. So they're not going to start to bloom. they're not going to produce buds because they don't have the right kind of light. So that's another reason I want these to be growing fast and blooming before I stick them in the garden. Because what I do with them is I put them around my squash in there to keep the squash bugs away. Well, if they're not blooming, they're not doing their job. So hardening them off for a couple of weeks ahead of time is a good idea. So anyway, that's what I'm doing hardening off this year. Now, I think I mentioned it in a video, I used to put them on my back deck because it's covered, and I'd set them next to the house. And then every day I'd move them a little closer to the edge and finally get them out where they were out in the sun. And, you know, each time you move them, they get a little tiny bit stronger light. Well, I don't have that option now because Bob lives on the deck. And my dog Bob is not plant friendly. If he didn't chew them up himself just to have something to play with, he'd rake them off with his cable that he's attached to. So, you know, that's just life. You had to think of a different method, and this is the best I can come up with and still keep it simple, you know. Now, if I look at my phone app for the weather one morning and I see that it's going to frost tonight, or it's going to get down in the 30s, say, I've always got my little mini hoop house I can bring over here and put over these things so that they're safe. So that's what I'm doing today. I hope you all enjoyed it. Push that subscribe button if you've not done it so far, and hope you all have a quality day.